Today on CityCast Chicago, Restaurant Week kicks off next Friday and reservations are already going fast, my friends. It's the 17-day period when nearly 500 of the city's restaurants offer prefix menus for brunch, lunch, and dinner. And at some of these restaurants, I ain't even gonna hold you, it's a great deal. But there are some places, let's be real, where you might just be better off ordering from the regular menu. Chicago social media creator Paige Serena is here to tell us which ones are actually worth it. It's Wednesday, January 15th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago is talking about. Paige Serena did a series of videos outlining some of the best and worst Restaurant Week deals on her TikTok page. We'll drop a link in the show notes. I personally found the series extremely helpful in trying to decide where to spend my coin this month and next. Paige, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Thank you so much for having me.
You did what many of us are not going to do, which is you went through all of the restaurants, you went through so many of their menus. How long have you been going to Chicago Restaurant Week, and how much of an anticipated event is it in the city?
I think people love Restaurant Week because I think it gives people the chance to try stuff that maybe they wouldn't get a chance to, try a new restaurant and see what the deals are. I've been doing this probably since I graduated college, which was 2020, I want to say. So this is probably my fifth Restaurant Week. Each year has been different and interesting, but I love going through all the menus to see what they offer. I think they do it because January, February are slower months for diners and businesses anyway. So it just gets more people in the door. So it's exciting.
For sure. More people are staying inside, watching movies, maybe ordering takeout. The way Restaurant Week works is you got hundreds of participating restaurants. You can essentially get a brunch or a lunch for $30 or dinner for $45 or $60, but they do have limited menu options. That can be a steal at some of these spots, but depending on where you're going, what their regular a la carte menu looks like. Can you explain your math to me? How did you decide whether or not something was a good deal, you're kind of breaking even, or went into your, unfortunately, a bad deal category?
So basically, I would start with the regular menu. I would look at the regular menu, compare it to the Restaurant Week. And so, for example, say they had like a $60 dinner or something like that. I would add up what options are from the Restaurant Week and look at the regular menu to see if it added up. Sometimes it came to be like the Restaurant Week added up to still being $60. So I called that like a break even. Sometimes it came out to be like maybe $75. So you're saving $15. I think that's a pretty good deal. And then sometimes in some scenarios, it ended up being less than what the Restaurant Week was even asking for. So at that point, you're losing money if you do Restaurant Week. Just go a la carte. So I wanted people to be very aware what they were going into for Restaurant Week, because as much as a good deal it can be, restaurants know that some people don't read and will miss. So I wanted to make sure no one got, no one had something go over their heads when it came to Restaurant Week. So that's how I did the math.
Paige, one of the things I really appreciated about your list is not only was it, for the most part, overwhelmingly positive. Most of the restaurants you mentioned were good deals. But even when you were talking about bad deals, like you didn't go out of your way to like shit on a restaurant. You, in many cases, was like, I've been here before. I'm really excited to go. The math just wasn't mathing for this particular thing. But still, feel free to go patronize these places. These are all still good Chicago restaurants.
That was one of the biggest points. And I wanted to make sure that I was not telling people not to go to restaurants because, this is a lot of these are family businesses, small businesses. And so never want to deter customers, but just still want to let folks know, like, hey, if you're going to go, just order the stuff like not off the Restaurant Week menu and it's still going to be good. So that was the main point.
So let's start off with some of the best deals for brunch and lunch. As you were moving through, which few restaurants grabbed your attention as that would be a good deal for us if we're trying to get an early brunch or a nice lunch?
Two of the spots that I was interested in, one is Del Rooster in there in Westtown. That's like a Latin, American type of food, family-owned business. And I went there for the first time a few weeks ago for dinner, and it was almost empty. And so the food was so good. And they also have a really good value for their brunch when I think it came to like $44, something like that, if you were to get the most expensive item. So that's like almost $15 savings. And I feel like that's the kind of spot that would not skimp you. So I definitely like Del Rooster for brunch. And then I also really liked Bixie Beer for brunch in Logan Square. I went there for dinner almost 4 years ago. I wasn't blown away or anything, but the menu for brunch looked so good that I would consider going to that. And then for lunch, there were two that I really liked. And one of my biggest tips for Restaurant Week is go to the restaurants that you probably would not go to, meaning that they might be out of your budget. So like Gene and Giorgetti is a steakhouse, and I don't really go to super nice restaurants anymore. I do a lot of takeout. And so this is like a good opportunity for $30. They had a really good 3-course lunch special, and it was way more had you gone a la carte. So I liked that one. And then I also liked Ella Ellie, and then I liked Coda de Volpe. So 2 other options for lunch that I thought were good. I think those are both around like the Southport area.
If I'm right, I feel like the panna cotta, the mango panna cotta at Del Rooster, you have been talking about for weeks on end.
It was so good. It was so good. Panna cotta is one of my favorite desserts. Mango is my favorite fruit. So then when I saw that on the menu, I told my friends, I said, make sure there's room for dessert. And by the time it came out, they were stuffed. I said, that's okay. We're still ordering it. And I devoured it. So it was so good. I would recommend going just for that.
All right. So what were some med deals or, some deals you might tell people to avoid when it comes to brunch and lunch?
So it's interesting because a lot of times what I was finding is that if you order specific things off the menu, you might have a deal. But sometimes if you just order some of like the most basic things that are on the Restaurant Week menu, it comes to like a break even, like I was saying, where it's just like you're not losing money, but it's not really worth it to go for Restaurant Week. And so one of the ones I saw was Maxwell's Trading. It's a new spot that opened up last year in the West Loop, Fulton, almost like Westtown area. Super hot spot, really, really cute. But the only way that you're saving money with that one is if you were to order what it was like the pompano or the half chicken. Those are the only ways that you would have saved money. So to me, I was like, I'm not really sure if that's a good deal. It was kind of just to me. And then also 14 Parish. And I think it's interesting because sometimes the restaurants, they have new menu items on their Restaurant Week, so it might be worth it to try something that's not usually available, which is what 14 Parish is doing. But when I added up a lot of the things on the menu, it comes to be like a break even once again. So I think sometimes it may be worth it to go if it's something that's you can't get like usually or normally.
Yeah, 14 Parish and Hyde Park, they busting out the oxtails for Restaurant Week, right?
Right. And that sounds good. That sounds good. But it does, like when I were to like kind of evaluate and add everything up, wasn't a huge savings.
Got it. All right. So if we're talking about some of your favorite deals for a good dinner in the city, what were some of the best deals you can get from the Restaurant Week listings?
So I have been really meaning to go to this spot called MFK, Spanish inspired. I think it's in Lincoln Park, and their value was $72. So it's very good value, saving at least $10 there. I really liked them. I did also like Petite Pomeroy, and I have not been there yet either. Their menu is entirely different, meaning that when I search the stuff, nothing that's on that menu is on the regular menu, so you can't tell if it's a good deal or not. But $60, I think it was 3 or 4 courses for French food, seems fair to me, so I would definitely be interested in going there.
French food in River North at that.
Yes. It sounds amazing. And then on the same thing for French food, Bistro Campagna, I feel ever since I've been looking at Restaurant Week, like for the past 5 years, they've always had a solid deal. Theirs is $45, and I'm pretty sure it was like a $60, maybe $62 value for everything you got there. And there was 4 courses. And then Avli on the Park is, I feel, very underrated, considering it's like downtown. But their value was like crazy. I don't want to misspeak, but I think it was like a $70 value for like a $45 dinner. So really good deal.
Really making out good there. Yeah, Avli in the Park is in the Loop. Bistro Campagna is in Lincoln Square. But I agree with you. It's places like Bistro Campagna, like fondue, French restaurants. These aren't things I typically think of outside of like maybe a Valentine's Day or maybe like a birthday or something. And so using Restaurant Week as an opportunity to expand your palate. I went to Daisy's 8 times last year. They got a good Restaurant Week, but I don't know if I should probably look outside of the of my casuals.
Something different, something new.
also did a great job of pointing out good deals for vegetarians. What were a couple restaurants for our people who are listening who might be vegan or vegetarian that might be some good deals for them to check out?
For my favorite vegetarian option that I did see, it came from Mano a Mano, and I think this is a good one because it's not a vegetarian restaurant, but vegetarians could go with their friends that are not vegetarian and enjoy. And so when I added up the cheapest or like the least expensive items on the regular restaurant week menu, it still came to coming up to $63, and they're offering a $45 restaurant week deal. So in every course they had something that was vegetarian, and I just feel like that's a good one because you can get some meat, you can get non-meat, like it doesn't matter, anyone could be happy there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going back to Coto de Volpe too. I think that they had a really good option for vegetarians as well. And then I've never been to Bloom. It's a vegan spot, so everything's plant-based. But they did have what I would assume to be a good menu. Everything seemed to be new versus what's on their current regular menu. So I would suggest that one. It seemed like it was a good price and it was 4 courses rather than 3. And I always like when I see like the 4-course deals.
So we've gone through brunch, lunch, dinner. Were there any other spots you were particularly excited for that you wanted to put people on?
There are 2 new spots that I had not heard of. I think they're like new to Chicago in general, just opened. One is Tala House, and they had a $63 total adding up for the $45 dinner. And everything looked really good. So it's like on my list now. I think this is one of the spots for Restaurant Week that I'm like, okay, we have to go here. And then the other one is Yasumi, and it's a Mediterranean spot. I believe it's in River North. And they had a really good value as well. I believe that they had 4 courses. So those 2 spots were some spots that I saw that I had not even heard of before. And now that I've seen them for the Restaurant Week, I'm like, okay, these are on my list. So.
All right. So I have to ask, let's go through what are some of your... We're not saying these are bad restaurants. We're saying these aren't necessarily the best deals for Restaurant Week. And so if you go, maybe just go a la carte.
If you're a vegetarian, Momotaro. I looked at the menu and it's always so funny when I'm adding up the menu and I'm like looking like I'm the only person in the room. I'm looking around like, what is going on? There's no way that this is.
Hey, Shorty, what are you trying to do right here?
Right. And so I have written down the first course was $12. The second course, or the sushi, was $12. And the main course was $20. Basically, the dessert should have been like $20. One thing you want to be so aware of is the dessert. Because you'll be looking at the menu, I'm like, okay, this looks good. Appetizers look good. Entrees look good. And then the dessert needs to be at least $20 worth to make it worth it. And it just never is that. So another one that I like audibly chuckled was Chase's Bistro. And I've been dying to go here. Like the food looks amazing. It's on my list for a minute. But when I added it up, so they had this brunch special and everything, all the entrees are $30. No sides were included. And I'm like, cool. Like, okay, that's what it is. But when you go to the regular menu, a lot of the things that were on that brunch special were less than $30. So like one of them was like $23. So I'm like, you're spending $7 more to just get the same thing you would begin a la carte. So it didn't make sense.
I appreciate you like kind of breaking down the math for us. If you're going to pull up, just be like, hey, we got a great restaurant week deal special going on. I'm okay. Just bring me the normal the big guy. Bring me the whole thing and we'll go from there.
Exactly.
So far we got Momotaro in Fulton Market. We got Chase's Bistro in Avondale.
I didn't like Alavida's either, but it might be an unpopular opinion. I'm realizing it probably is. I'm not the only person that does not like Alavida at all.
In the West Loop?
So basically they had a $25 lunch special already. Like they already have a $25 lunch special, but now for Restaurant Week, they're introducing a $30 lunch special. And there's not a big difference. So to me, I'm just like, you could have just kept to what you already had. I feel like a $25 lunch special is great for a spot like that, but it just feels a little sus when you're going to introduce a $30 one for Restaurant Week,
All right. So overall, how would you compare this year's deals to previous years? And be honest with me.
The first thing I noticed when I went to the Restaurant Week thing this year, because I had like all the notifications on, I was ready. I'm always the first person to see like what's going on. The first thing I noticed is that they had raised the price. And not significantly, but I still kind of raised my eyebrow because previous years, it was $42 dinner or $59 dinner. And then the brunch or lunch was $25. So it went from $25 to $30 and then from $42 to $45. and 59 to 60. Not a big deal at all, but I spent so much time, doing the calculations because I was like, if the value's going down and the price is going up, we need to be really cautious of where we're going to go for the actual deals, because you could go thinking you're going to get a deal and it really is the same or even worse than just going, a la carte. But I still am excited. I think it's a really good opportunity for restaurants to kind of showcase what they do. I think finding the ones that are a little bit more niche, maybe undercover, underrepresented, are your ways to go. And then also like your steakhouses.
So overall, you talked about Restaurant Week being an opportunity for restaurants to showcase what they do during what is typically a slow period, for folks to get out to experience new restaurants that otherwise they may not have known about, may not have tried. I mean, even if you do 300 restaurants a year in Chicago, you have still barely scratched the surface. So with all of that in mind, would you suggest someone to get out, spend their hard-earned money, bear the cold during Restaurant Week later this month?
Absolutely. I think it's such a good time. I think one of my favorite parts of doing it is going with the group. If you all order something different off the Restaurant Week, you have pretty much this entire spread of food that you could just try. And that's like one of my favorite ways to bond with people, just trying food, eating food, enjoying company. And so I think it's worth it. I always do Heritage. I've done that for the past 2 years now. This year, I wasn't able to tell like what the actual savings were, but it's always been worth it when I've gone. So I think we're going to do that again. And then I definitely think I'm going to do Tala House because it's just been calling my name. So I think that one's for sure on the list.
Come on, I see you, Heritage Restaurant and Caviar Bar. Go on, say the full name so they know who we talking to.
I know. It sounds so bougie when you say the whole thing, but when you go to the spot, it's actually like so approachable for it to be caviar. We don't have any caviar bars like in the city for real. It's so nice. I love that place.
We will drop links to all of the places you can follow Paige Serena. Trust me, you will absolutely fall in love with the content in the same ways that I have. Paige, we appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Before we get out of here, if you want to talk deals, how about $1,500 in gift cards to some of the best restaurants in Chicago? That's what you could win in our year's worth of restaurants giveaway. When you enter, you got a chance to win 12 gift cards to 12 of City Cash Chicago's favorite restaurants, including Giant, Kasama, Nikki's, Ositos, Tap Demira, and more. You can enter at the post on our Instagram at City Cash Chicago or by checking the link in the show notes. But don't wait, the deadline to enter is Friday. We have never given away $1,500 in restaurant gift cards, so please hop on this now. If that wasn't enough good news, I got some more for you. Catch me tomorrow night at the 15th year anniversary show for Grown Folks Stories at the Promontory in Hyde Park. If you're a long-term listener, you have heard me talk about how much this show has meant to me personally as a storyteller and performer. So I'm gonna go on, throw my name in the hat and get on stage tomorrow night. I wanna give a huge shout out to Eric, Cara, Binky, and everybody who has made this show possible over the last 15 years. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace.